Think, Stephen, if you're ready, I think we're gonna start getting going. And if other people come, we can invite welcome them when they arrive. So welcome to the webinar for Greening Sacred Spaces Ottawa's Energy Benchmarking Program. We have tonight as our guest Stephen Law from Holy Trinity Anglican Church, and that's in Thornhill. And that church has been participating in the energy benchmarking program hosted by the Greater Toronto Halton area, I believe, for the past couple years. And so he has a lot to say about his faith community's greening efforts, as well as his participation in the program, as well as a lot of personal expertise, personal and career expertise. As he's presenting, it's going to be about 30 to 40 minutes of him presenting his PowerPoint presentation. During that time, if you have any questions, I would kindly ask you to put them in the chat box. The chat box you can reach, it's at the bottom of your screen. It's a little pop-up, it'll say chat on it. And you can just type in there, and then at the end of his presentation, we will ask him the questions. And he'll kind of go over them. That'll just allow us to streamline it so we're not having to start and stop. But please, if you have questions as he's speaking, just place them in the chat box and we'll get to them later. Also, after he is finished, I will be doing a short presentation on the energy benchmarking program, what it is, and how you can get involved if you wish to. So with that, I think I will put it over to you, Stephen.
Great, thank you so much. Welcome to all. Just before I begin, I just want to let folks know that although we will be talking about energy benchmarking this evening, we made a specific decision in which to present a narrative of our journey at Holy Trinity Anglican over the last few years, of which energy benchmarking was a key component, but not the only thing that we have done. So I really want to make sure that folks walk away from this webinar experience with an understanding of how energy benchmarking fits in to a larger greening initiative in a faith community. So on the topical slide, I've got a photograph, and this photograph is actually my cousin taking a photograph of me, taking a photograph of some solar panels on the roof of a church over in Belgium. About 8 years ago, when I was traveling around over there, I saw solar panels on the roof of not only this church, but a few other ones too. And that was one of the things that kind of got me started on this idea of joining energy efficiency and greening with faith communities, because I'm interested in both, but up until recently, I had never put the two together. So as far as Holy Trinity Thornhill is concerned, how did we get here today in 2019? So I'm going to start from the beginning. Of course, I'm not going to go through every detail at length, but I really just want to let folks know that there's not really a lot of magic here, although maybe a little. Like I say, really, it's just about people stepping forward and doing what they can. So in 2015, the local diocese in Toronto asked the parishes to discuss climate change and so forth and act responsibly and faithfully. We put forward a vestry motion in 2015 that our parish would support the diocese's advocacy on climate change. We committed that we would investigate opportunities to reduce our carbon footprint and so on and so forth. We assembled a few volunteers for our green team, one of which was our property manager. And as you'll see as we go along, this is very important to have your property management committee linked to your green team. Now, we happen to be very blessed and gifted at Holy Trinity because I'm an engineer, our property manager is an engineer, and one of the other volunteers that became a member of our green team was also had a background in engineering. So that was kind of unique. And so we were able to jump on this opportunity very quickly with no assistance at all from the diocese. And you'll see how our work in the early days actually set us up very well to join the benchmarking later, although it actually was not required. So we undertook a preliminary energy data use set from 2013 and 2014, and we did a facility asset inventory in consultation with our property manager. So we looked at natural gas and electricity consumption. You see here the energy consumption trends. So the natural gas, of course, we're using a lot of natural gas in the winter when it's cold and almost none in the summer when it's warm. Electricity, on the other hand, was fairly steady throughout the year. It didn't really vary that much, month over month, generally speaking. And you can see we looked at on-peak, off-peak, total, just trying to get our heads around the energy consumption patterns and the emissions associated with our energy use, not knowing exactly how we were going to use the data or where this was going to go. The asset inventory, again, I'm not going to go through all these things in detail, but I do want folks to know that this is one of the oldest continuously used churches in Ontario. We actually have special historical status from the Ontario Historical Designation, and it was built in 1830, expanded in 1840, and then the church was actually moved from its original location to a new location in 1950, where it has stood ever since. And what I mean to say is, this is a very old building that, thankfully, our property management committees over the many decades has actually done a pretty good job with the overall upkeep and modernization from time to time. So we have some information here around square footage, insulation, both in the walls and in the roof, and also our stained glass windows have an external storm cover, which not only protects the stained glass, but helps to insulate those windows from heat loss, which is very helpful. Again, a lot of focus on windows and doors. We have forced air gas furnaces that were just replaced in 2006. 80% efficiency. Again, that's pretty good, but not the best by modern 2019 standards. We should be well above 80% efficiency, and we're looking forward to the future to updating those gas furnaces with something more energy efficient at a later date. We have air conditioning. Again, you can see that one of the condensers was just renewed in 2012. We've done some work on heating and cooling vis-a-vis our programmable thermostat, fluorescent lighting. We have a nursery school, and also we have pot lights, some of which are CFLs. Now, the rest of the building, again, was built in 1960 after the church was moved. We have a new auditorium, hallway, rooms, offices, and so forth. Again, we have, of course, gas-fired boilers for heating. And we have programmable thermostats, which are very helpful. And again, the auditorium lights were just updated to complex fluorescence, or CFLs, in 2010. Again, I'm not going to go through all the information here, but this is the kind of information that is really, really important that somebody take the time to document in your faith community. Again, a lot of stuff on windows, doors, furnaces, air conditioners, lighting, and so on and so forth. Because it's really hard to make progress and move forward if you don't have a full understanding of your current status quo. So I would encourage all members listening in their faith communities to do the best that they can to undertake an asset inventory as part of their greening project. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I know not everybody has maybe the engineering skill set to undertake this asset inventory, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, it's a very important activity to undertake. Now, when we got to 2016, we applied for and received a $1,000 fund from Greening Sacred Spaces to do a green audit. So we actually had to provide some of our upfront work that we had done in order to procure the grant, the $1,000 grant. So we only had to contribute $500 of our own funds. So a representative from Greening Sacred Spaces came to meet with us in June 2016 to lead us in a green audit in association with our green team. We learned from the representative of Greening Sacred Spaces that our facility is relatively energy efficient compared to other churches that the Greening Sacred Spaces representative had inspected as part of his regular work, because we had done quite a bit of regular upgrades over the years in a way that a lot of other churches simply had not. A lot of other churches haven't done anything since the 1950s or 60s. And he said that's actually a huge problem for a lot of older churches, is that they simply have not done a good job over the years modernizing their facilities. So although we had some work to do, we were starting from a very good, pardon the term, benchmark from where we understood ourselves in relation to other churches. Now, following the audit, we received a report from which we built our own project management system, and then we began to pick what we call low-hanging fruit with volunteer efforts and some limited funding that I'll describe here in just a moment. So the Green Audit Report included recommendations related to our building envelope. So section 1, and again, that had a lot to do with the asset inventory that we talked about a moment ago: insulation, windows, doors, heating, lighting, et cetera, water efficiency, kitchen and washrooms, air quality, property, mostly meaning outside rather than inside the building, renovations and construction, and then other activities. So the report was really helpful. And again, this is definitely something that I would recommend to other faith communities as an early step in your greening process. If you don't have a lot of engineering resources within your parish, to request a green audit through Greening Sacred Spaces and having a competent professional come and do an audit for you and provide you with a report can be a very helpful activity. Now, when we began our early low-cost projects, we actually had some success early on with relatively low cost, because we have a very efficient project management group and some great volunteers. Some of the items were technically already done and were just simply confirmed because, of course, the green audit was, again, only a few hours in length, and we didn't have the time to go through every single detail. So the items were noted in the report, and then we followed up on them one by one to check if more work was needed or not. Programmable thermostats, we had them locked so that they could only be adjusted by the green team. And that was one of the recommendations, is that don't let everybody who walks through the door fiddle with the thermostat to their liking. I'm sure everyone can relate to that one. We replaced a few light bulbs with some LEDs. We covered an opening in our old part of the church that no one even knew was there. It was an old ventilation opening that had been there probably since 1850 and was never properly sealed and insulated, so we sealed it and insulated it. And again, exterior lights, we put on either some kind of a timer or sensor, and door trim was upgraded on most of the doors, meaning insulation and so forth, to try to prevent leakage around the doors, which we did not realize was actually quite a major problem until we did the audit. We had a lot of leaky doors. So we definitely had to do a lot of work on reducing the draft around our doors. The big project that we did in 2017 was a full LED lighting retrofit project. The local utility, Electra, was offering incentives for buildings to upgrade their lighting efficiency. So we got over $4,000 from Electra to upgrade our lighting. And you'll see in just a moment how much money we're saving now year over year as a result of doing this project, because we were spending a lot of money on lights in terms of electricity to operate those lights. So you can see in work package number 1, we replaced 236 interior fluorescent and incandescent lights with LED. I mean, that was the big one. Work package number 2 was replacing 6 exterior security lights and lights for main altar stained glass windows. And then some other fluorescent fixtures required changing the ballast to electronic to accommodate the LED lighting. So we hired this work out to a contractor. We did not do this work ourselves. This was very complicated work, and we paid of the order of $18,000, I think, to the contractor to do this work, of which we got, again, a refund from Electra of over $4,000. So our total net cost was in the range of $13,000 to $14,000 to have this work done, and it was worth every penny. We also began our first outreach effort in 2017 by having an article published in our local Anglican news journal, and we got a full-page write-up, and we were very excited about that, and that actually created some really positive energy in the local Anglican diocese by us sharing our information with the broader community and encouraging others to undertake greening projects. Which really brings us now to our current focus on energy benchmarking. So you saw earlier our data analysis of 2013 and 2014, and that was okay for us to do that once. But analyzing energy and emission data is a chore for unpaid volunteers. Can we get someone else to do it? That was definitely on our mind when this proposal was brought to our attention, that we could have somebody else analyze our data and write a report for us every year. We jumped at the chance. So in January 2018, we joined the Faith Building Energy Benchmarking Program. Our first report was received in April 2018 for year ending 2017, and it showed us the building's weather normalized EUI, which means energy use intensity, and the EUI expresses a building's energy use as a function of its size, and it's calculated by dividing the total energy consumed in 1 year by the total gross floor area of the building, and the EUI is the sum of both electricity and natural gas. So you can see that between 2016, which was our baseline year, and 2017, we had an improvement because the numbers were negative. So that means our energy use went down, our emissions went down, our costs went down. So right off the bat, the changes that we were making were already showing positive returns on our investment. These graphs also come from the report. And again, you can see the trending charts provided in the report was not something that we really have the ability to do ourselves without an enormous amount of effort. But the benchmarking program is able to do this for us for free. So it's incredibly helpful to have this data presented to us over a long 3 to 4 year sort of time period that really helps us understand what's going on. So you can see that our electricity usage is sliding down year over year, but our natural gas usage really isn't, because we have not yet really made a focus on reducing natural gas emissions, because we've done nothing to date with our gas boilers. Now in Ontario, the electric grid has relatively low GHG emissions, or greenhouse gas emissions. So the big prize will be cutting down on our natural gas use for heating at some point in the future. In 2018, we also won our first award from our ClimateWise Business Network friends. So Faith in the Common Good presented to us an award for the work that we did at Holy Trinity Thornhill. So we were very excited about that. And I wanted to share that with you to show you that this kind of recognition in a public space is possible. And all the people that were at that evening of recognition, generally speaking, were from business, not other faith communities. So we had an opportunity to show a non-faith community world what's possible, even in a faith community, to do good, sustainable environmental work. So it was a great opportunity to showcase, again, the opportunity of faith communities to participate in this kind of activity. Also in 2018, we made a second effort at public outreach. We hosted a Stewardship for Faith Buildings seminar at our church in Thornhill in concert with the ClimateWise organization. And the webinar that I'm presenting to you now is actually based on the presentation that I gave at that event. So we're really excited that we've had the opportunity to do some public outreach, both as a faith community, but also as environmental type folks as well. Our second report was received in 2019, including the data for 2018, and it really showed us that the LED lighting, as well as some of the other projects too, have really started to have a major impact. Our electricity usage and associated costs to purchase that electricity are now much lower. We're actually saving about $3,500 each year on our electricity bills compared to our baseline back in 2016. So that's really significant. And it is very helpful, again, to have this information shown as a trend over time to help tell our story to the parish, but also to others such as you all here today. In the report, for the first time in 2019, the ranking of faith communities was provided. Now there's 44 faith communities in the database for ClimateWise here in Southern Ontario in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. And Holy Trinity Thornhill ranked third out of 44, which was a complete surprise to us. We had no idea how we scored with other faith communities, and it was certainly a delight. And honestly, this has really only encouraged us to do more, since the parish is more invested now than before due to the tangible evidence that the report provides to justify the funds spent to date. So again, this is a really exciting opportunity for us all. Thank you so much for your attention today. I just want to let you know that I'm actually, in addition to all the other things that I do, I'm actually an instructor at a school of energy, and we put on courses around renewable energy and all kinds of things around this subject matter as well. Not that I'm asking anyone to take the course, I'm not doing that. I just want to let you know that there are people out there running around doing this kind of thing. And if it's helpful to communicate with others, I just want to let you know that I'm out there. And if you want to talk to me or ask me a question, even beyond today, I want to be available to help other faith communities. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for your time. And I had a few questions, and I was wondering if anyone else did. I don't know if you, I haven't seen anything in the chat box, but if anybody would like to ask a question, just by unmuting. So if you go to the bottom left corner, that should be how you can unmute. So if anyone wants to try doing that, if you have any questions, if not, I have a few of my own to ask. But yeah, so I guess I'll get started with my own. So
so just one second. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, because I'm trying to find the chat box. Yeah. I can't see it, so just bear with me 1 second here. Mm-hmm.
It should be in the bottom bar.
I can see the video, so bear with me just 1 second here. Mm-hmm. Okay, I apologize. I can't see the chat box, so I'll just still follow your lead here, Charlie.
I'll just do it. So I had a few questions. So first one was
sure.
This one from Elizabeth. That's, I guess, would be to me. So you signed up for in the spring. Your first report will probably be in a couple months. So we are in the process of working with the utilities right now to kind of streamline getting the information. they are currently in the process of reporting on the information. So yeah, the reports should come pretty soon in the next few months. Some questions I had to Stephen. One thing I hear a lot from faith communities is, especially churches and especially those with high ceilings, is that they have issues finding contractors who are, in terms of lighting retrofits, who are comfortable working with really high ceilings and have that kind of equipment. Did you have any issues finding that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
We worked with a local contractor, and I'll be honest, our ceilings are actually not that high.
Okay.
So we did not struggle with that, and unfortunately, I don't have any specific advice in that regard, but safety has got to be a priority for sure.
Yeah. And then a couple more I had. What was sort of, if you could talk about your process in terms of forming a green team, finding the volunteers that might want to participate, and sort of letting people know about what initiatives you were going to do so they could join if they wanted to.
Well, I'll be honest, I took a little bit different approach. The one gentleman who was not the property manager now, but the other gentleman who has, a background in engineering, who asked me to sort of head up the green team, he was a warden at that time. Just how our sort of church is structured, we have a series of wardens. And so he was a warden at that time who was going to be responsible, as part of his portfolio, was going to be the green team. Now, we had a property manager that was independent of the green team, and we reached out to him directly and asked him to join the green team, but not lead it. So I was asked to lead the green team. The property manager was asked to just simply join us as a member because he was busy leading the property management committee. So we didn't want to overtask people with too many responsibilities. So what I basically said is, I don't really want to have a group of, say 10 people, all with very good intentions, but no meaningful skill or ability to perform projects or whatnot. So I was actually very selective about whom I asked to join the green team with me, rather than just kind of throwing the doors open and just having everybody who wants to join, kind of come on and join. And I'll be honest, I've been to another church a few times that has held some climate change related seminars and this and that. And that's what they have. They have this huge green team with 10 people, none of whom have proper qualifications. And all they do is talk to each other and complain and actually don't get anything done. So I would strongly urge folks to consider building a green team with very specific qualified people, and don't have an enormous group of people that actually don't have any credible qualifications to undertake green team projects, where people just, like I say, they talk a lot, but then actually don't do anything. So that's a trap that I've seen other churches fall into, and I would advise against that.
Good to know. Thank you. So if there are any other questions, again, you can put them in the chat box. And I'm just going to go quickly to a presentation on the energy benchmarking program. And some of you who are here may have heard this already. And I'm going to try not to repeat things that Stephen has said. But this is just a quick overview of what the energy benchmarking program is and how you can get involved. So let me just set this up. So as Stephen said, the energy benchmarking program started in Toronto. It's been going for a number of years there. And it started in Ottawa about exactly a year ago, is when we officially launched. I guess it was in January of 2019, so almost a year ago. And it is a way of tracking and through tracking, improving energy performance, specifically electricity and gas. And it's sort of the star of the program is the Energy Star Portfolio Manager benchmarking system, which is an internationally used system, way of tracking energy, and it is the one that we use for this. So benchmarking, as you can, I think Stephen has sort of outlined, but it's basically finding out information. In this case, it's finding out information about your building, how you are spending money on your energy, and how much energy you're using. And then the really important part about benchmarking is the ability, how much it shows you about what your faith community is doing, which is the kind of the first step to measure, to managing and to reducing that energy. So if you're looking to make meaningful long-term changes to energy usage, like the ones we saw at Thornhill, you really need to start by actually measuring how much. And I think Stephen did a good job of explaining sort of why it might be a good idea to benchmark. Another one, kind of, this is more broadly about energy saving, is that it is a key teaching of many faith traditions, stewardship of the earth, as well as stewardship of our buildings, stewardship of the people and the money that goes towards them. And when you have more money that you can are saving on energy, that money can then go to other initiatives in the faith community. And carbon consumption is by one of the most important parts of things to tackle with regards to a faith community. As you can see, buildings account for about 42% of a typical faith community's carbon footprint. So it's a great place to start targeting. So the way the benchmarking program essentially works is that we will meet with faith communities, explain the program, answer any questions. So I'm very happy to sit down with your property committee or your council, or to talk with your green team if you already have one, to present, or to just sit down to tea with them and answer any questions. I have a long list of FAQs. When a faith community agrees to participate, you then fill in an intake form. So this is a pretty simple form online where you put in your basic information about the building, such as square footage, number of meters on site, building date, things like that. And that information helps us measure your building in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Additionally, there are two forms, one for Hydro Ottawa and one for Enbridge, that you essentially fill out, and this gives us permission to access your energy data. And that energy data only goes to people within faith and the common good. It's not spread around. At least the raw form is not. We create reports over 3 years, and we give those reports based on your energy data, which we input into Energy Star. We create reports, 3 reports, and work with your faith communities to save energy, putting on presentations like this that will help you understand the ways that other faith communities have saved energy, and as well as giving you access to tools and resources. So these reports, there's a benchmark report, and I think, yes, the baseline report. And I think Stephen showed the one from Thornhill's faith community, Thornhill's baseline report. And so yes, this is the initial one. And then there is that's the this is not the correct how it will actually look. Stevens is closer to the current iteration of the sort of comparative report, but in your second and third years, you'll receive a comparative report kind of placing you where you are among other faith communities in terms of energy saving. And this helps you sort of learn from each other, compare to each other, and as Stephen said, get inspired and get motivated into keeping to do these programs. We have also lots of resources. We have lots of events that will help with this energy reduction. We are also happy to do free site visits and to also help you access energy audits similar to the ones that Stephen was describing. And just again, to go back to Elizabeth's question, we are working right now on producing the first report. We've had a number of signups over the past year, which we're really, really happy about. And we're working right now on inputting that data into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager and then creating those reports. So that's all I have for right now. And if you have any sort of questions about that, I'm not sure, I can't see right now let's see. Stop share. Okay. I don't see anything in the chat. But yeah, so if there are any other questions, feel free to contact me at any time. My email address is on the event page. You can also learn more at our I can't see this on our website, which was what you used to sign up for this event. And please do not hesitate to reach out to me or to my colleague Kai, who is also involved in this program. We are really happy to help. So I think that's it, unless anyone has any more questions. And so thank you so much, Stephen, for coming and presenting, and for everyone who came and listened to this. Thank you so much. All right.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thank you. All right. And have a fantastic evening. All right. Bye now.
Okay, thanks. Bye now.
Bye.